Thomas the Tank Engine. He's one of the most iconic kids characters of all time, but what makes him such an inspiring role model for his young audience? Well, for starters, I think it comes down to how Thomas acts. He is not really a saint, far from it in his early days. He's a very impatient and bratty person, kind of like the child audience who'd be watching. That doesn't admittedly sound like a good thing. If anything, that sounds a lot like Caillou. But what makes Thomas different from Caillou is that he never really wins. If anything, you kind of feel a little sad for him after he loses, because he's got a bit of a plucky attitude for him. But he always learns in the end. As both the Railway series and the early seasons of the TV show go on, you can just tell how much Thomas matures. He goes from being bratty and insufferable to being somebody who you can honestly sympathize with. If anything, he kind of becomes like a little Edward. It was always important to note that Thomas definitely learned more from failures he would have than successes. In general, that applies to a lot of the Railway series characters overall. I also think it was generally a good thing of Wilbur, and to an extent Brett Allcroft, to make sure Thomas can just kind of be an ass sometimes. Because really, kids are just kind of assholes, whether they like to admit it or not. In general, it's kind of important, I feel, to evolve from a lot of that and not to make the world look like a pure, sanitized, and safe place. Really, it's still a railway overall. I mean, it's still a happy place for children, but it's not a perfect place. Honestly, the biggest problem with most current Thomas media is he's just too nice now. In general, the whole franchise has become a lot more sanitized than compared to how it started. It's unfortunate, but I guess that's how these things have to be sometimes. Though classic Thomas's persona will always be important to me, especially in my work now. Also, I wanted to thank you all for reaching 500 subscribers. I am very happy to have finally hit that goal. This wasn't a video to celebrate that, by the way. That's actually coming soon in February. This was just something I was working on while that happened. So, yeah, thanks.